The three things we learned from funding: $310,604,484 in rookie mortgages. Hey, I'm Scott Peckford. This is the I Love Mortgage Brokering podcast, a podcast I do every week where I share with you tactics or tips to help in your mortgage business. This week, I decided I've been going through our stats for our rookies and our grads, and I thought I would break down for you some of those stats, as well as a couple of the takeaways or things that we've learned. So first is we've, since we launched the brokerage in August of 2021, our rookie and intermediate agents have funded 757 files for 310,604,484, as I said. But our grad, which is a pretty impressive number, but our grads, the people who've gone through our program and have now become what we call pro agents, have funded a total of 1,296 files for another 958,000. So the total is about 800 million, 2,000 files, and that, which is cool. But the crazy part is that most of these people that started with us had never done a single mortgage before, and they had never funded a single mortgage. And then they came in and we gave them a plan and a path to go out and not only find business, but then build a successful mortgage business. And so that's what I want to break down to three things that we've learned from doing this. We don't have everything figured out. We're always trying to learn and get better, but I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that has worked really well for us. All right, let's jump into it. So the first thing that we have that I would say that has worked, that part of the reason we've had this success is that we actually don't have a mentorship model. So a lot of brokerages they have this idea that, like, hey, if you become a mortgage broker, what you need to do is you need to find a busy broker to help you. What we have found is that that sounds great on paper, but it rarely works. And the reason it doesn't work is because the busy broker is, you guessed it, busy. And when they're busy, it's like, how do you get help on your file? And so the way we solved that problem, even when we started, was we put together we have underwriting coaches who sit in the Zoom room 55 hours a week, and our agents can hang up the phone with a client, go into that Zoom room, ask questions about the file, ask questions about the document, get answers, and go back to the client. So speed matters. Speed, as I say, speed kills all deals. And because they can get answers quickly, they can compete against people that are significantly more experienced, because they don't have to have all the answers, just be able to get them quickly. We've had numerous brokers who've come to us who are under a mentorship model, and they said, this sounded great. My broker is amazing. Problem is, they're busy. They've got their own files they're working on. So that's part of it. Maybe they're out of the office. They got something going on with their kids, or they're at the golf course. And you, as a new rookie, you finally get a file and you're like, okay, now I need help with it. And then you wait a day, sometimes two, if it gets really bad, it can be a couple of days. And by then the client is like gone, right? And you end up you can lose the client, lose your referral source, and then even worse, lose your confidence. And I've seen this happen time again. And so we put together a model where we have these underwriting coaches, and they're not competing with our agents. And so the other part is, you got to think about, just even if you have the most awesome mortgage mentor, that they make, let's say they're doing their own files, and so they make 100% commission, or they make a big chunk of money on their files, and they make a small chunk on yours. And so if they've got two files that are on fire, it's like, which one are they going to put out, yours or theirs? So the other thing that we did with our underwriting coaches is they don't work their own files. So they're bonused, and everything is built around getting our rookies to fund files. And so this has helped them help our rookies, because then it's like, hey, we've got the same goal here. We want our rookies to fund mortgages, because if they fund mortgages, that means the brokerage makes money. That means the rookie is going to be successful, which then turns into a successful business. And 2,000 some files later, to me, I believe that it works. Does it work all the time? No. Are we perfect? No, not at all. And I think that there's been lots of, over the last 3 years, things that we have, didn't do well, and we're improving. And we're always looking at. I'm never content to say that we have it dialed, but I can promise you that we're always trying to improve or fix whatever we can. But I don't believe that the mentorship model actually works. And then the other thing that can happen when a mentor, if they like it, that's great. But now they get multiple mentors, or they get multiple agents, and now you've just taken that busy broker who has limited time, and you've spread it across a bunch of people, and it's very difficult to provide a high level of service. And so we found that for us has been one of the keys, I believe, having a successful rookie program. So that's the first. The second is that training is pointless without a path. Everybody says they have training. I actually don't believe. A lot of people don't. What some people think is training is just, hey, we get lenders to come in and talk about products. That's great. But how do you find clients? How do you talk to clients? How do you do a discovery call? How do you pitch a realtor so that they'll want to send you business? How do you follow up? What do you say when you follow? All that stuff. And so what we found because I ran a training company for 8 years prior to even starting the brokerage, we took all the best, and and I'll be totally honest with you, I took the best ideas from everybody that I worked with in that coaching company, as well as people that I brought on as coaches, to be like, okay, what actually works and what can we apply? And so the key thing that I found is that you need to have a path for people to follow. It's not enough to be like, hey, go read this. It's like, okay, where do I start? And so for us, first thing is like, okay, what's your personal pitch? What are you saying to your friends and family to get them to refer you? And it can't just be, I'm a mortgage broker. That sounds great, but it doesn't really do anything. It's like saying you're a realtor. I'm a real estate agent. So what? Why should I work with you? And so if you don't actually have a good answer for that, you're going to have a hard time even getting referrals from your friends and family. So with that, we start with that. And then it's like, okay, now how do we take your existing network and expand that out into referral partners? And then when you get to those referral partners, what do you say on the phone in order to get them to do a meeting? And then what do you say in the meeting? And then what do you say in the follow-up? And then when you finally get the referral, what do you do in the discovery call? What does that conversation look like? All of this stuff matters. There's literally, I always say there's 3 sales you need to learn to do. The first sale is the referral source. The second sale is to the client, and the third sale is to the lender. Most people think all they're focusing on is the lender. Or the other thing I've heard is that some brokerages will be like, just go out and find files and I'll help you get them done. Okay, cool. Where do I find them? And I've heard like advice to hey, just get some business cards and go hand them out. That if somebody's giving you advice and they haven't built a mortgage business in the last decade, what they did to build their business probably wouldn't work today. Let's be honest. If it's not working in today's market in the last couple of years, it's probably out of date. The market has changed. It's gotten more complicated, more competitive, and the strategy, the tactics that you're using have to be updated to match it. If not, you're going to struggle. And so that was the second thing is that, and so the other thing, so we've got, the way we solve this path is that, so when somebody comes in, we've got these 15, we call it a Rookie to Rockstar book, which is 15 chapters. I think there's 300 videos in there. Everything from, hey, what do I need? The financial considerations before I even start, to how do I hire an assistant? Like literally everything's in there. But we don't say start at the beginning, because that's actually not the fastest way to build your business. What we coach on is how to build a referral-based business. I don't know how to build a business that's around using ads, or that's never been a kind of business I've enjoyed, and I don't know how to do it. But what I can do is show people how to build a referral-based business, because I think that is much more sustainable. And so we do this we put people in this 100-day challenge. So we've got these 15 chapters, but even that is condensed down into what we call our 100-day challenge. So what is the most important things to do in the first 100 days? And so for those first 100 days, you get an email from me every single day saying, here's what you need to do day 1. Here's what you need to do day 2, do this, day 3. And then we provide coaching around those first 100 days, very small group coaching to help you with, okay, you said to do this, but I'm a little bit confused, or I'm struggling with X. I know that this is what the training says to do. So we have Sherpa calls to help you with implementation. The reason why I call them Sherpa calls, if you're hiking Everest, if you have a Sherpa, it's much easier. Sherpas have done it numerous times. And so what we are is we're a guide. So that 100-day, I always say we found the fastest way up Everest, if you will, in terms of the fastest way to build a referral-based mortgage business. But we have Sherpas coaches to help you with getting through that. We also do weekly theme calls. So on sales, marketing, scripting, discovery calls, all that stuff. Because again, if you're only learning a piece of it, it's going to break at some point. And then we also provide mindset coaching, which I actually talk about in the third point. So point number 1 is that I don't believe the mentoring model works. And I think that having live underwriting coaches in a Zoom room that you can go talk to 55 hours a week has definitely helped our rookies fund more mortgages. The second is that training has to have a path. And so whatever program you're with or whoever you're with, if there's no path, then you're going to be like, well, what should I do? And I kind of discovered this by accident, because initially when we put this together, I had a lot of training, because I've been training for 8 years. And then I realized, I was like, have you ever been in a hotel in Vegas? Like I think with the MGM Grand, and you look down the hallway and it's just a long hallway and there's all these doors off to the left and right. Well, what was happening is that because there was no path, people would go into, imagine they go into that one room and they get stuck. And then they're working on something that doesn't really matter yet. Yes, it matters in the grand scheme of things, but it doesn't matter yet if you're trying to build your business. And so what we thought is we need to actually give people a path. They need a plan to follow. And so that's where we broke down the 100-day challenge into that. And then the last piece to this is the environment matters more than training. So I just said training matters, and it does, but the environment that you're in matters even more. So what do I mean by environment? So a couple of things that we do that are unique. And again, I learned this from the coaching company, is that we do game of phones. And so every week we have 3 different sessions, game of phones, where we have coaches come in, and these are people that have been through our program, that have been where you are not that long ago. And they are doing outbound calls to try to set up meetings, or doing outbound messaging to set up meetings. We call it game of phones because initially it was all phone calls. And again, it's like you are more likely to change based on the environment than the training. So if other people are doing it, it's like, well, this is kind of normal. And then we do coaching around, like, so for instance, what are my reasons to reach out? Like what? And so we just did this last week. We did a whole session on, reasons to reach out, and then, at scripting around that, because it's like, if you don't create that environment, then people are not going to execute on it. Right. So if you're going to imagine, if you were hanging around with 5 other friends that were vegans, you'd probably, that's maybe not the best example. You'd probably be vegan too, because eventually you'd be like, this kind of makes sense. That seems to, I'm not a vegan, by the way, but basically you become like the people you're around. And so we want to create this environment where that is just normal. It's just part of the process. We do game of phones is one of the ways we do it. Another way we do that is we do monthly mastermind calls. So we'll have a theme. We bring all of our agents in, and then we have topics we do a bit of training on, and then we break out into breakout rooms, and everybody shares, and we put you in breakout rooms based on production. So if you're a 40 million producer, you're going to be in a breakout room with other 40 million producers. If you're a 5 million producer, because your problems and pain points are different at 5 million versus 40. It's not a better than, it's just different. And so we found that that's another way that we increase collaboration. That's the environment. We also do mindset calls. And so we bring in mindset coaches that help you with, this is a tough market, right? This has been a very challenging market. And if you get the mindset wrong, it doesn't matter everything else can be fantastic. You're still going to struggle. And so we bring in mindset coaching consistently, at least twice a month. And then for our rookies as well, we bring them, and this goes back to why I think the rookies, we have mindset coaches. So we have people that are mortgage brokers that have been through our program, that are graduates, part of that 1,054 files, that have gone through our program, that have executed on it. But they've also been in where you are. You're struggling with, I feel self-doubt. I feel like I'm not, I feel like I'm a fraud. I'm not really that good at this yet. All this stuff, or I've had somebody just reject me, and now I feel like, is this worth doing? My significant other is upset because I'm not making the money that I was hoping I was going to make. All of these emotions that you're going to have when you go through this, and I want to tell you that I think it's an amazing industry, but there's tough parts. Having a mindset coach that you can talk to who's been where you are and help you process this makes a huge, huge difference. Because a lot of times, who do you talk to, right? And so for us, we really focus on creating that environment around making sure that we support you in the activities that you need to do. So I think so for me, I believe that's the 3 reasons that we've seen the success: 310 million in mortgages, as I said, another 489 million in grad volume, so 2,053 files. And I think that's, I could probably do more, but those are the 3 big ones. And if you're our competitors listening to this, like, I don't know why no one else is doing this. I do not understand why no other brokerage doesn't have underwriting coaches available, 55 hours a week. Doesn't make sense. I don't understand why you say you have training, but you don't put a path in place. And then I also don't understand why, and just copy it. Like, honest to God, if you just want to, I don't care. Just copy it, because I think that if you do, you're going to help more people, because it absolutely works. And the last part is you got to focus on the environment. What is the environment like? Are you creating an environment where that becomes normal? And then we make it normal, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is not that big of a deal. And then you build a successful business. So if you found that interesting, then if you want to check out more about our Rookie to Rockstar program, go to rookietorockstar.ca. So that's www.rookietorockstar.ca. I got a webinar there. I walk you through our entire process, what we do, how we help. And if you're a rookie mortgage broker, check that out. And if you're not a rookie mortgage broker, hey, hopefully you found this interesting. And always reach out if you have any questions or anything to do mortgages. You can hit me up on Instagram or shoot me an email, scott@ilovemortgagebrokering.com. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.